Welcome to a small training session on how to troubleshoot within the PTC. In this session, I'm actually going to just give you some guidance on things that I need help with in relation to ensuring that I can dive into the area in which you're having an issue. Today, I think some of the issues that are coming across to me are basically stating that this particular section is just simply not working. And that is not enough information for me to go off. So first thing to consider here is when you're logged into the PTC and you do find that there are issues. Some of the core issues are things like, someone can't log in. So that particular piece there, I've mentioned this before, but when the first thing to search for when someone cannot log in is just to first identify if the person exists. So if it's, say, for example, myself, emailing or ringing up, I can search for my name. I can even put in the email address, and that will find my individual name. The next thing to check here is basically just checking that the email address is accurate. So I've found in some instances there have been some discrepancies around the email address itself. The other issues that actually come up are really around, we've found a fair amount of issues in actually saving data. Now, the first thing that you need to consider is on a weekly basis, we are actually updating the system. Now, what happens is when you update the code and you update the database, if, for example, an update has been pushed live and I have the website open, the code to which is existing now is not the same as the code that exists in the most recent update. So we have this scenario where we're trying to save say a real talk or a check-in, and when we're saving that real talk and we're saving that check-in, we're actually trying to save it in against code that is out of alignment with what is actually stored in the system. So that's called like a caching issue, and the way to deal with clearing the cache, there's a couple of different ways, but the simplest way, actually, to be honest, is actually just to close the browser down. So close the browser down, and I open the browser again. And when I open the browser again, I have a new session and I can log into the Performance Center again. So this would actually be a means for us to I guess, reset the code base. There also is the way to do this via history. So I can actually go in here and go to the history tab, and then I can actually go to the history here, and I can clear my browsing data. So this would actually be the most preferred way to do it, because this would actually give you a full reset. Closing the browser down should give you a basic reset. But if I actually click clear browsing data here, and I'm going to clear the browsing data for all time. So I do want to kind of keep my my passwords and stuff. So it's just images and files, cookies and other site data and browsing history. If I clear this data, this is actually now going to help reset the system specifically, and clear out all the underlying elements that have been saved. And this is going to ensure that when I do go in and reset, that this actually has taken a full refresh of the most recent code. Now, it's obviously difficult for us to ensure that our clients are doing this. So I am going to work a potential feature in to clear just the Performance Center cache for clients. But for now, for us, if we are testing, it's important for you to sort of close the browser down as one. And if you want to go down to another level, you can actually clear the cache to which I've shown you there a minute ago. So now I've cleared the cache. You can see it's logged me out. I log back in again, and this is taking a full refresh of the site code, which means that I'm working on the most recent version of the PTC itself. Now, the next part I need help with is to ensure that you can give me more information around what is actually happening itself. So let's say, for example, yesterday there was a scenario to which there was a check-in that was done. I think Ruzi actually pressed save and the information didn't save. Now, there's sort of more information that I need help with there. So first off is, what browser am I using? So you can see in this instance, I'm using Google Chrome, and I know I'm on my computer, so I'm using a PC. Ruzi is probably using would be using his Mac, and he would be using a browser on his Mac, to which I need to sort of understand what that browser is. So that gives me an indication: is this specific to a device, which is common, that sometimes issues come up basically related to devices, and then also there's a common issue where things might be related to a specific browser. Now, second to that, I need to know what actually was the issue. So if, for example, it was the check-in yesterday, I click plus here, and I'm just going to save it. So let me just go and create it. So test, 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 and then I'll give myself a shout out. So test, oops, and click add. This has now saved it, so I can go into my team meeting from yesterday, and I can view the information. So I can see that the information to which I had saved has come through. Now, what I want to understand is, did it save? Did partially it save? Did some aspects not save? So I think in Paul's case, some of these data points didn't come through. So that was sort of what we need to now drill into, looking at that on a Mac, on a specific browser. But what didn't happen? Did it not save at all? Did it save something? Did it save partially those parts? That helps us understand if it's specifically isolated to one aspect. And consideration here is also around the things that the fact that there are different user privileges, so different levels. So I'm logged in here as a super administrator. So as a super administrator, I can see all aspects of the system. So even like the company totals information. When I go to check-ins, I can create a custom check-in below. That's not available for everyone. So things also need to be considered. Is this person who's performing this action enabled to actually perform the action? So if, for example, someone doesn't see this custom check-ins, it means that they're not a manager or a super user. So I want to be able to understand who's doing it, what privileges do they have, what browser are they in, what device, is it PC or is it Mac? What particular outcomes were they trying to achieve? What didn't work? And that would allow me to sort of drill into this and allow me to be more effective in troubleshooting. Because if it's just blanketly, this just didn't work, sometimes my way of doing things does not actually replicate the same way as others doing things. So it makes it difficult for us to go in and actually see what's happening. And generally, if I constantly seeing that when I perform an action, it works, then possibly it's something to do with either permissions or the particular device or the browser, or even how the person is performing that action themselves. So there's a lot of factors to consider, and I guess I need a little bit more help, and just asking more questions and drilling into it, and even doing some checking yourself. So for example, it is a specific client and you want to see what are they doing if they're having problems. You should be able to go to any client at the top here and have a look yourself. So I can see, for example, if there's an issue with the Necto, that I can go down here. I can see, look, I can see the custom check-ins. I don't have any responses, but I can see all their custom check-ins. I can actually go and create one. So I can actually act as a user inside that account, and I can add some information back here in relation to this particular check-in, and I can see if the information saves. So doing those extra steps would really be effective for me to ensure that we can quickly identify the problem and resolve the issue as quickly as possible. So appreciate that. Thank you for your time, and look forward to seeing any, well, obviously, hopefully don't see any issues, but I look forward to seeing more information when you guys find any problems as you go forward, and help support the development of the PTC. Thank you.